What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to be looking at comments, one comment specifically, but it's one of these things where I guarantee you, I think there are other players that somewhat feel this way about Gotham Knights. Now, this is a player base that is not necessarily 100% satisfied with the presentation of the product that they've seen so far, but still want to buy the game. Now, in this particular scenario, what I've seen is the longer it takes the game to come out, by the way, we're about 40 something days away from the game, the frustration probably continues to set in that you're probably buying something that you think is a subpar product. Now, when I show you this comment, you're going to be either shocked or maybe not surprised. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but one of my audience members pretty much made this comment about the game and said, in my last video where I talked about the game getting discounted, they said, I'm going to buy this crap. I just hope it's not as bad as it looks. Now, I just want to go ahead and say, if you think a game looks bad, don't buy it. If you think a game does not look satisfactory to you, don't purchase the game, because at the end of the day, you're not going to solve anything by actually buying the game. It's not the game. The fact that you purchase the game is not going to make the game better. And I think what it is, we have gotten to this point as gamers where most of us, and I mean, as you grow older, if you think about maybe your early years of gaming, it was probably somewhat of a struggle for you to get all the games you wanted. Even if your parents threw all the games that you wanted at you, there were still some things that you just couldn't get because, resources are always limited, if you get what I mean. Even if your parents gave you the best of the best of the best, at some point, there was something that you probably wanted in a video game that you probably never got. In my case, I didn't get my first video game till after college, if you get what I mean. I mean, I had other handheld games and whatever, but my own personal video game, I never got till after college, an Xbox 360. And so all through that time, not having enough resources, video game developers understood the demographics then, and they understand us more than we think, that we are now in the demographics where we have a bunch of money to spend. This is why companies like Sony and Microsoft can raise prices over nothing. By the way, there's really nothing that these new games are actually providing that the old games never provided, or the old games didn't provide even better versions of. But they're just raising the prices because they know that right now the average gamer is aged anywhere from 25 all the way up to 60, 70, and even in some cases 80 years old. And I say that, you might think it's a joke. I used to play Tom Clancy's The Division dedicatedly with a bunch of gamers that had children that were my age, that were literally going to be, if you actually looked at it, they could be my dad, some cases my grandpa, and they would tell me that they enjoyed The Division because of the way the pace was. And these folk, money was nothing for them, if you get what I mean. Some of them were retired and all of the above. And even if it wasn't that demographics, the other demographics were still millennials or even, Generation Xers. And so the game development companies understand this weight that you have to have expendable income. So if in the past few years, you've not necessarily been feeling that video games are, in a sense, satisfactory to you, the best thing to do is just not buy them. And I understand this because a lot of folk, in some cases will feel that they have to buy the game because they're Batman fans or something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, this franchise is one of those franchises where it's getting the new iteration. And yes, Gotham Knights probably misjudged its demographics at the end of the day. When I was talking personally to Alex from Podcast Now, he said something about that. He said it seemed like the developers for Gotham Knights, they saw something with Fortnite or a lot of these other games that were appealing to younger audiences, and they tried to maybe, get some aspect of that. And many games that were being developed at that time, found out that the formula wasn't working way too late in development. So think about it. You start making a game because you're following a trend, right? And then in the middle of your trend, you realize that gamers are not feeling, this kind of a, game format. So somehow, somewhere, you probably try to restructure your game in a way that doesn't make it draw you back into development too much. So that's what we've been seeing in a lot of games. I'm not saying Gotham Knights did this, by the way. I'm just saying Gotham Knights is faced with this stigma surrounding a lot of other games that have preceded it. Avengers, Cyberpunk. And many of these games try to do those cash grabby things. And so for everyone looking at a video game these days, they're looking at it and coming from that lens like, is this game even going to be good? But I encourage those who are not comfortable yet with the premise of Gotham Knights not to actually put their money on this game. Don't do it. I'm buying the game because I just want to buy the game. I think it's an interesting concept. I want to explore what it's about. I've always wished that they would have followed a lot of the principles of some other games out there like Arkham, God of War, in terms of just the combat. That's the only big, huge clause I have. For me, I like combat in video games. But if this is the style and this is the direction they want to go, I want to see it through. I want to see exactly what it is that made them decide to go this direction. And so I'm giving the game a chance in that sense. Plus, I'm a YouTuber covering the game, so it's one of those do as I say things, don't do as I do, because I already pre-ordered the game and all of that stuff. But I don't want anybody to, feel disappointed at the end of the day, because that disappointment is going to translate to everybody else. Because what happens is, for people who don't like the game, there is this lingering feeling that they would have, or people who feel that, this game's not satisfactory to them. There's a lingering feeling that anybody else that doesn't feel the same way is either in some case dishonest or a shield or something else. The reason I know this is because I used to cover Tom Clancy's The Division in depth like crazy. And over the years, Ubisoft and their development made a lot of gamers in that space mad. And whenever you said anything positive about the game, man, people would jump on you like crazy. So I don't want y'all jumping on my channel or on me on the 22nd of October because you went ahead and bought this game knowing that you probably are not satisfied with what you've seen. I'm begging you at this point, and I'm telling you this is from experience, please, if you're not feeling it, give it a rest for a little bit. Let the reviews come out. Let people play the game. Let people give their assessments first. This is a critical way to look at video games. And I'm certain that you're probably going to be happy about, your decisions later down the road. Let me give you one example before I close out this video. So 2 years ago, I decided I was going to start, leveling up my computer to continue doing my work. I started getting a little bit more into Video Game Fight School. My other channel was also, there, and I was working on it, but I needed more, efficiency from my devices. So I started to do an upgrade. I went ahead and bought myself a new CPU. But then as I was about to look at the graphics card market, boom, we had the entire 2020 going to craziness. You could not buy graphics cards for normal prices. Scalpers were everywhere. And at that point, I just said, honestly, as much as I may feel like I need this, I have to close my eyes and not worry about it. And so I just looked away for 2 whole years. And the other day, I was able to get myself a RTX 6800 XT for half the price that it was listed as of last year. Can you imagine that? And I not only got it, I got it with a gamer bundle. One of my audience members that's always telling me how Saints Row, went bad, Willow, they gave me a free copy of Saints Row. They gave me Forspoken and Sniper Elite to buy this graphics card. When at first, these graphics cards, you almost could not get them until you spent a whole bunch of money on them. So the waiting game is fine. I'm someone who actually practices it, and I'm not just preaching something necessarily that I would not practice. This is something that I feel will benefit you as an audience member if you're not yet feeling Gotham Knights. Don't feel the pressure to do so. Just because many of us are excited about the game, if you're not, wonderful. That's up to you. That's your own thing. And I'm sure some of you are probably shocked that I'm saying this, but I've said this all the time. I mean, I guess it was probably maybe like 8-10 videos or maybe 20 videos ago when I said, you do you. At the end of the day, you're the one that gets to live with the game in your house. I'm not going to be, Video Game Fight School guy is not going to be there talking in your ear when you're playing the game. It's all you at that point. So that's pretty much my analysis for, this particular topic. Hopefully, you're excited for the game at some point. And hopefully if you're excited, your expectations are realistic because you already seen this game. So it's not like when you pick it up and start playing it, you're like, oh man, no, you've seen it. So I think that's the best place to be. You've seen it and you've made up your mind. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Peace out.